Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I had one busy weekend. I had my 17-year-old had to go to prom, my youngest had travel ball, and I took him to a Braves game. He got the cool experience. I had a friend that gave me some those tickets where the kids can go down there and get on the field, and he was actually got autographs, and he was able to get on TV. It was pretty cool. So check this out. I love it when the Bitcoin maxis actually like chart people to see something in XRP because they hate to admit it. Look at this. XRP next potential all-time high. Thanks to Fibonacci circle, I managed to find previous all-time highs. Assuming June 2022's low was the cycle bottom for XRP using these circles. Helps forecast next potential high. He says it there. 3 potential all-time highs emerge from conservative to optimistic. Conservative 334. That's not an all-time high. I think it went as high as 380 something. These are 849 and 2156. In fact, I think Susan Athey's model that she did on XRP back in 2018, was it? Put the value at somewhere around $8, I think. Don't quote me, but I think it did. XRP active accounts has surpassed 4.5 million. That's big. Now, don't forget, 2 more days, we're going to have consensus. I was going to go to this, and I decided that I was going to not go. It's fun. I want to go to this like every year, but I decided I wasn't going to go. My wife's birthday is this week, and so I just didn't want to go. So anyway, or I wanted to go, but I didn't want to get in trouble. You know how that goes. We're only 2 days away. I've showed you some of the speakers the other day. It's should be interesting. Digital Perspectives, who is Brad Combs, he put this interesting clip out from Greg Kidd. Greg Kidd was on Link2. And by the way, Link2 is in the very top of the description. You can get, if you're an accredited investor, that is, they're one of my sponsors. You can get Ripple Equity, PolySign Private Equity. You can get Uphold. You can get, what are the other ones? Link2 itself, Private Equity, which is my largest holding. Go check it out. These guys are moving and shaking. Listen to what Greg Kidd did one of their investor conferences, I guess. Listen to this.
From me, my point of view, it's inescapable. I can't tell you when it will happen, but when something like FTX blowing up and Binance having the problems it has and the banks blowing up, it kind of tells you that the so powerful looking 2.0 reality we live in, it's kind of built on sand. And like when the tide comes in and tide goes out, every time I'm sort of surprised at how many folks that I thought were dominant in the industry are now just a history chapter in Wikipedia. And this is sort of a social political statement. Like there's always this pyramid of like what's at the top. And what has been at the top have been these Web 2.0 companies and other just traditional institutions like in other industries. Mm-hmm. And there they are. And then they have accounts and they assign users to those accounts. In the new world, if you flip that pyramid around, everything starts with the user. Like there was a time when if you changed from one phone company to another, you had to give up your phone number because the phone company owned your phone number, and a way of locking you in was to say, well, if you leave, you're leaving us and we own your phone number. You have to get another phone number. But now in the phone industry, users own their phone numbers and the phone companies service you and your phone number. And if we can start to see that in other areas, like your money, like if you switch from one financial institution to another, your money simply stays in the account. You just have a different financial institution servicing it. And you could have multiple financial institutions servicing your account. It's your money. And so if you start to take that across everything, your medical records, the assets that you own, they belong to someone, either a person or an entity at a point in time. There's a trail of provenance. And other folks may service that, they may add value to that. Wherever they are in the value chain or in the supply chain, that's just a story. But it's a story of following the goods and following the people that own the goods. And all those other institutions, they're not at the top of the pyramid. The people and the goods that they use, create, they're at the center of the system. And so it's a user-centric, item-centric view of the world. And all these other institutions, and I'm not anti-institution, I'm not anti-government or anti-corporation, but they're there to serve the people and the goods that are being tracked in a supply chain. When you see like a bank like Silicon Valley Bank collapse in a number of hours, you realize that these things that we thought were absolutely solid and steadfast can be gone over the weekend. And once you see a few of those things disappear, then, you really need to have a hard reflection about what is enduring in this world, because these black swan events we have, they keep coming all the time. Pretty soon people have to start talking about white swans.
Well, XRP is my white swan or my phoenix, which we'll cover in a second. First, I wanted to show you this Zimbabwe to introduce gold-backed digital currency. Now, remember, Gaddafi got killed over this, folks. So when you start introducing gold-backed currencies, you better hope that the rest of the world or that the U.S. is on board. You have to wonder. Because look, once you have a gold-backed currency, you don't need any other currency. Then it just comes down to a trust issue over whether it's legitimately gold-backed. So that's what this will come down. But somebody, whether it's Zimbabwe or somebody else, is going to create a gold-backed currency that people do trust and that is a totally legit gold-backed currency. And when that happens, it is over for the fiat joke. All right. And I said, imagine the boom times of the USA. Look, if our leaders in the U.S. thought like this and did things like this, you would have the greatest gold rush boom time this country has ever seen. If these regulators like Gary Gensler would back away and let crypto thrive and do things like this instead. UAE proposes bill to create decentralized economy for its free zone with 100% tax exemptions. You start doing stuff like this and you'll actually make your country great and you won't destroy it the way they're doing right now. Now, there's a little company called Bakkt that a lot of people have forgotten all about. Now, folks, I believe that this right here, remember who Bakkt is. Jeffrey Sprecher is behind it. He's the CEO of ICE. ICE is the parent company of the New York Stock Exchange. I believe that Bakkt is going to be a part of the back end of when Wall Street finally opens up shop, okay, for crypto. And I'm going to show you a lot of what I'm talking about here. These guys, Gary Gensler is in alignment with guys like this. They talk the same way. They talk about the incumbents because Jeff Sprecher is the incumbents. Okay, these are the incumbents, and they started. I've said it 1,000 times. They started putting in motion how they were going to jump into this game, and that's why you're seeing everything you're seeing with Gary Gensler. Now, it's important that you understand that Bakkt is publicly traded. They quietly went public. And the stock never did anything. Remember how Coinbase got all the fanfare and the initial investors sold out of Coinbase? Coinbase went to, I can't remember how high it was, but it was $400 to $800 or something like that when it went public. Everybody, it was like the shiny object. Meanwhile, all the original investors were selling out of Coinbase. Well, Bakkt went public at the same time with no fanfare, not a lot of attention, and it hasn't had a lot of attention since then. Well, guess who has been buying some Bakkt shares on the public market? That would be me, because I believe this is one of those nobody's looking at right now, and all of a sudden it will be one of the ones that rise. And I believe that these guys are friends with all these Gary Genslers and all these regulators, but we can prove it because Ashley Prosper's been busy this weekend. She says, I've contacted MIT. Remember the missing course from MIT when Gary Gensler was there? She said, I've contacted MIT for information on that missing course Gary Gensler taught on November 5th, 2018, entitled S18, A New Approach to crypto exchanges and payments, which was attended by guest speakers Jeff Sprecher, who is the CEO of the Intercontinental Exchange, and Kelly Loeffler, who is the Chief Executive Officer of BACT. She's his wife. She's Jeff's wife, or was. I don't know if she still is. But anyway, she's the one that he put in charge of starting BACT, and then eventually she handed it off. And I can't remember if she handed it off to him or somebody else. But anyway, the point is that this is a missing course. So they apparently said something in this that Gary Gensler and friends don't want you to see. So, and then Ashley Prosper had updated. She said, I received a response back from MIT. Apparently guest lecturers have a right to request that their lectures not be published. But why would very busy people like Jeff Sprecher and Kelly Loeffler take the time to go to MIT, give a lecture, and then not publish it? Best guess, one or both said something that they didn't want disclosed publicly. I'll keep digging. It's not over yet. Okay, so here's the communication. Now, I wanted you to hear this because I went back. Jeff Sprecher went to and spoke at Consensus a few days after he did that lecture at MIT. And I wanted you to show you this so that you understand he's completely on the same page with Gary Gensler about protecting incumbents.
These institutions don't so much get disrupted as the disruptors cause the institution's antenna to go up and say, oh my gosh, there's a threat on the future and maybe we better move. And so what you're seeing is us adopting a lot of what people are working on, looking for the best use cases for our particular business, and institutionalizing the work of a lot of entrepreneurs. I happened to buy the New York Stock Exchange because it was slow to adopt technology. And the first thing we did when we bought it is put in all new technology. So it didn't go away. It didn't get disrupted in the sense that it went to zero. It got disrupted in the sense that a new management team came in. And we enjoy running it, so I don't want a new management team to throw me out. And so part of this is, we've been, as Kelly mentioned, since 2014, pretty deeply involved in blockchain and various new innovative database technologies.
Okay, so he made it very clear there that they want to protect themselves from these new upstarts. Now, at the same lecture series, Gary Gensler's, if you remember, Gary Gensler's brother was there to do a lecture as well. This is from Mr. Huber, but he makes a reference to the phoenix rising from the ashes. Listen to this clip.
I think Bitcoin, sorry, I'm real biased about this, is a massive regulatory.
He's also talking about, these are all these guys are in the same club and they don't want to be disrupted.
I don't want the governments, the officials anywhere in the world to know something. I want to create a system that's beyond governments. Have you found anything, maybe in the history of humankind, there is something where officially the official sector doesn't come back with a vengeance and get its fair share? So I think blockchain can be very good as a utility to make a lot of other things. It's like, what are the killer apps that will come? And it was true with the internet. When the killer apps came, guess what? Amazon was a killer app and Apple was a killer app. Well, Apple's different, but Facebook, etc. And oh, by the way, all of them, sorry, because you're going to say, why did I say they're worth 500 billion or a trillion? Remember, there was an installed base of value, Amazon's case, 100% of global retail, that they could disrupt. Wow, they're not even 5% yet. I don't know whether you should own Amazon stock or not. I'm not trying to say that. But wow, or all of global advertising, that's what's Google, wow, and they're a disruptor.
For all the money.
So maybe Bitcoin becomes the utility that some app resides on top of, that is, and it becomes ubiquitous enough in 10 or 15 years. And I actually think something will happen. It's just will wow us all that we hadn't even considered. But it's in the second phase, not in this first phase of hype, disappointment. And I don't think we're anywhere near the disappointment. The disappointment takes years, and then all of a sudden, like the phoenix from...
Yeah, that's because your brother's going to spend all of his time trying to disappoint.
Ashes, it rises up again. And it's once the distributed process is all out there, and there's not nodes like a Bitcoin nodes, but nodes of users. It's like...
So there you go, Phoenix. Now this, I found this morning. This is Jeff Sprecher Jeff Sprecher was talking to Michael Casey. This is back in March of 2018. And he makes a reference to that Phoenix too.
And you think of that something comes out of the other end, that all of that failure will produce, there'll be a Phoenix, if you will, and something will.
Yeah, I really do. Phoenix would be nice, wouldn't it? It's a good name for an ICO. Phoenix coin. Yes, high five.
I think there's already been a Phoenix coin, right?
Would be the richest man on the
called a fire token.
for a day.
For a day.
All right, and then finally, I wanted to show you this from Ashley Prosper, who was busy. I found a transcript from one of Gary Gensler's blockchain and money lectures at MIT. He is well aware of the Ethereum ICO, and he even knows how many purchasers there were. I'm more convinced now than I was before that he himself is a disguised ETH whale. And when this company did a $25 million initial coin offering the day of the offering, which only had 40 to 50,000 purchasers, how does he know that? Also make some interesting comments about Bitcoin code. See this right here? It is answered, there's something that's freely available. The Bitcoin core code, it's actually under a copyright license here at MIT, which makes it free. That was Satoshi Nakamoto's decision. It wasn't that, well, maybe Nakamoto does work here. Folks, go ahead and write it down. These guys know who Satoshi Nakamoto is, and you have to ask yourself the question. Now, remember, these are the same guys that are trying to destroy crypto right now. And just by pure coincidence, the as he says right there, the copyright license for Bitcoin just happens to be at MIT, where the same people that are trying to destroy everybody except for the incumbents right now, the fact that nobody is asking whether Bitcoin could be their kill shot is crazy. It is crazy, because if these guys really want it, now I'm not saying they will, but I'm saying, why is nobody asking that question? That's way too close for comfort right there for Gary Gensler that's way too close for Gary Gensler to knowing who Satoshi is. Do you trust Gary Gensler? I sure as hell don't. And then Mark Phillips makes an interesting point. Is it possible for Chainalysis to ID the disguised ETH whales? It's more than possible. They could do it probably with the push of a button, Mark, and everybody knows it. And he makes a very good point here. If so, I wonder who would be on the list. How do people who mostly work in government and education accumulate so many millions of dollars? That Pulitzer is still available, Eleanor Terrett. And Eleanor, if you're out there and if you're listening, Mark is 1,000% right. Why would you not start putting microphones in people's faces and try and go over to Chainalysis? Say, why aren't you guys? Have you guys ever done a? Have you guys ever put your software towards what happened in that Ethereum ICO and just sucked all that data out and seen where it led? I'll bet you they did it a long time ago, folks. I bet they know all about it. I bet they know down to the name of every single buyer who bought in that thing. The question is, why do these guys all pretend like they don't know who Satoshi Nakamoto is? And why do they pretend like they don't know who the Ethereum whales are? Those are the questions. And those are the questions nobody else wants to ask. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that we seem to be surrounded by hiding and secrets and lies and people that just aren't straightforward. And those are red